I started off flipping houses during my sophomore year. Did a lot of those, ended up buying a house in downtown Cincinnati. We gutted the whole house and found out that the house was actually like swaying back and forth and we needed to tear it down. Tear the house down and built one you could actually sell for more than what you're fixing it up for. And I said, well, that sounds fun. I think you and I have been talking about this lately, finding the right builder and working with them and making it a relationship and not a transaction. We just don't bid plans. Like it takes, 3-4 weeks to bid a set of plans. And I'm like, and at that point, it's just a transaction. It's not a relationship. The last house we just finished, and we had delays with weather. The weather was terrible. We had delays. It was 7 months from the time we started tearing the house down to the time we moved in. Small and nimble, but we're able to focus and be very efficient at what we do.
Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Ground by Euler Hines. We are your local new construction real estate firm. We actually specialize in all things building, all things new home related. And today we got to sit down with Ben Fry of Fry Builds, Fry Homes that is. So Ben is actually a friend. We've gotten to know him over the years. He got his start back in his University of Cincinnati days, buying up some rentals, then actually getting into a little bit of a pickle on a piece of property where he actually had to tear it down and build his first brand new home. Fast forward 4 or 5 years, he's in Homerama, he's building multi-million-dollar homes, and he's one of the best builders in this region. So we get to sit down with him today to really dive into his business. He gives you some guidance on what you should be asking your builder, what his competitive advantages are, and all kinds of details and fun stuff. So you get to meet the guy before you actually sit down with him. So without further ado, let's jump into Ben Fry. All right, welcome back to Breaking Ground with Euler Hines. We have a special guest for you today. I'm not going to only say that Ben is one of the builders we work with, but he's also a friend. We get to catch up all the time, have some drinks, have some fun, because when you're doing this business, it can be tough. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Ben Fry of Fry Homes. He is here in Blue Ash, right off of Pfeiffer Road. And Ben, what's going on?
Yep.
How are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
So start all these off really by kind of just softly going into a huge question. I say softly because I want to just warm you up a little bit, but what do you think the number one aspect is when building a home? It doesn't matter what price point, just what's the number one aspect that somebody should keep in mind?
I think you and I have been talking about this lately, finding the right builder and working with them and making it a relationship and not a transaction.
Absolutely. What does the right builder mean though? What does that mean exactly?
So meeting with the different builders and finding out, what they're special, what makes them special, why you want to build with them, what their process is, who you're going to be working with through it.
Absolutely.
Is the builder you're meeting with going to actually be on site, or you're just going to get passed off to another project manager?
Of course.
I think
just understand how they operate, so you know expectations going in there. Because let's say all types of people are different. It's kind of like dating, right? You got to make sure that you find the right one. You got to find the one that's going to take what you think is important and actually kind of lean in there, which I don't think is always the case, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes people have processes that don't fit maybe the way you want to work.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
You're going to a relationship with multiple people, not just one.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's a really good point. Well, I think about it with your team, and let's dive into you as a builder, because you've been doing this for a long time. You might look young. You got peach fuzz down here.
There's gray in here.
There's gray. Yeah, probably more grays than if you weren't building homes.
Yeah.
Right? But when it comes to actually building houses, how long have you been doing it? Give us a little bit of background into you, what you've been doing, and then I'll interject a little bit, because obviously I don't think you're really good at boasting about yourself. But tell the folks kind of about Fry Homes, Ben Fry, and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah. So I was studying at University of Cincinnati. I was studying entrepreneurship first, but then I switched to real estate because they were getting rid of the program. So while I was in college at UC, I started off flipping houses during my sophomore year. Did a lot of those, ended up buying a house in downtown Cincinnati. We gutted the whole house and found out that the house was actually like swaying back and forth. And we needed to tear it down. And so the realtor at the time was like, well, if you tear the house down and built one, you could actually sell it for more than what you're fixing it up for. And I said, well, that sounds fun. So we tore it down and built a house and sold it for more than we even initially thought. So
what year was this, by the way? Just to give a little bit of background, because
I think that was 2018 or 2019.
Okay, sure.
And then from there, we basically stopped flipping houses and transitioned into new construction.
Sure.
Did townhomes, Cityrama, Homerama. So.
Yeah, just all of that sort of things. Because you went from, put the foot on the gas pedal, right? You did a number of different types of projects pretty quickly. And I say quickly, it doesn't probably feel like it's quick looking back, but it really was. You've been doing this for over a decade, right now?
Yep.
That's the sort of thing. So you went from doing, that one swaying house, obviously, to doing some townhomes to Homerama in the matter of like 5, 6, 7 years,
Yep.
right? And now you obviously have a focus in doing more higher end product here in the Blue Ash, Montgomery, Madeira areas, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Tell us, like, because your office is over on Pfeiffer Road. So I say Glendale, Milford, but it's to say Pfeiffer to make it easy. It's right near where Summit Park is.
Yep. Pfeiffer and Kenwood, next to City Barbecue.
Yep.
We opened up a selection center because we just found that people were kind of having to travel to all the different places to make their selections, and we wanted a central place to be able to meet clients.
Sure.
Central place for them to pick things out. So we leased that space. We have office and storage space in the back for items, and then selection center up front.
So yeah. And let's talk about your team real quick, because your office is perfect. It makes their lives easier. It's really convenient off the highway. It's within probably 5 minutes of most every job site you have right now, at least. I know you go out in other areas, but let's talk about your team. Who else is on your team right now?
So team-wise, we have Jed as our project manager. Jed has a extensive background in interior remodeling and management. So team-wise, I start off with the sales foundation.
Sure.
Through kind of rough mechanicals, and Jed takes it at the rough mechanicals. We kind of co-manage that. Sure. Then he takes it over once it's drywall all the way through completion.
All the way through on there.
So there's kind of transition period to that, just because we each kind of pick what we're really good at.
Sure.
And I find that works really good.
Yeah.
Then we have Crystal, who's actually my wife. She's our designer. She helps clients with all the selections. Yeah. But that's it. We were very small team. Yeah. But we're able to focus. Yeah. Small and nimble, but we're able to focus and be very efficient at what we do.
Well, let's lean into nimble real quick, because if there was one thing I would say about you, and it's funny because I ask you a question and then 15 seconds later I have an answer normally. I feel like you're like Chat GPT in some ways, because it's true. It's like you are the most nimble builder I think I've ever met, because you're busy. You got a lot of jobs going on. It's not like you're just working on 1 or 2 houses at a given time, but you somehow find a way to kind of balance being busy, but yet being quick to answer and quick to get back to people. So that nimbleness, and I'm going to get to a question here in a second, but I want to give you a compliment there, because that nimble nature and that it really makes people feel comfortable, because when they have a question and they're concerned about it and it's just spinning in their minds, you're giving them answers probably pretty quickly, and you're calling contractors, you're going on the internet, you're finding a solution out very fast. And I think that solution-oriented way of mind is really helpful in building, because it's going to happen 1,000 times, right? Any build, that kind of front. So with that being the case, is like, obviously you mentioned Crystal, your wife. It's funny because I think I put on the bottom of her list husband, wife. I'm sorry, but she just does a lot, obviously, with your kids and in the business. But I've gotten the chance to sit across the table from you and Crystal, and she builds out these incredible design documents so people can understand. And you're kind of getting that as part of the process. I know there's obviously, she's a part of the build process, and it may go different ways. So I don't make a promise I can't live up to, but she is a big part of the process to make sure people understand visually what they're getting, right? Tell me, lean in more there about how she helps during the early part of the process to kind of design the house and kind of bring your vision to reality.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing is, we've got compliments of, we actually take notes in meetings. So when client leaves, like, we know everything that they said, and we're not just sitting there and like, oh, like, did they want, like carpet in their primary or not? So I mean, we have detailed notes. We listen to what people want, and then we keep those notes. Yes. And so when we're bidding a house out, it's like, no, I don't have to go back and ask them questions that they already gave us. So we have detailed notes, and it really helps. She's able to kind of be at those initial meetings, and then so once we get to the design and selection phase, that she knows already kind of what they're wanting,
what they want. Well, and this business can be siloed, like it can be, meaning, hey, somebody can meet with a designer over one meeting, and then meet with the builder another meeting, and meet with an architect another meeting. I think the big difference is you got your arms around it all. You're the quarterback. You're running the whole show. At the same time, people are kind of running. They're very good at what their what the segment of what they do is. And I think that's the difference. As you mentioned, taking notes. Let's back up for a second. So a client calls you. We were just talking about this right beforehand. Client calls you. They have a lot and they want to build. And maybe they even have plans, but most of the time a client's not going to have plans yet. Maybe you have the plans. What's that first meeting look like? What do they? So they come on in. They sit down with you. They normally just kind of just throwing up ideas. I mean that in the most gentle, non-disgusting way ever. They're just kind of throwing ideas on the table as it relates to the lot. Walk through the kind of the process there of how that works.
Yeah, so if they come in and let's say they already have a lot and they already have something in mind, I've already kind of asked them before they even come in, like what they're looking for house-wise. So when they come in, we already have something up on the screen, ready for them to look at. we can design plans from scratch, but I mean, every house anything you can think of has been built. So
Yeah.
why not look at something already on paper and then make the changes from that?
Sure, sure.
I think that's the easiest thing. I know we scared a client off one time by telling them that, like, oh, he can't design a custom house. Like, we can, but it's just easier to look at something versus you say what you want, and you get the plan back, and you spend all this money.
Sure.
And it's like, that's not really what I want.
Absolutely.
That doesn't work. It's easier to look at something and make changes.
Yeah.
And it's more cost efficient.
Sure, sure.
There's something already there. Again, these things have been designed multiple times and refined. So.
Yes. It's not scary too, because I think that's the hard part is when you go in and they hear horror stories about cost overruns, and you just don't know what you don't know going into that process. So I think you saying, hey, here's a house we built that's kind of 80% of what you want. We can make changes to this house, or we can start over. It's up to you. It's not built next door, so it's not going to be a problem. We can change the exterior. We can change the interior design. But you can say, hey, this house right here as it costs is $950,000.
Yep.
And then they can say, okay, hey, I benchmark that. Now if I make changes of additions, crazier floor plan, whatever it is, they understand what's going on. So that's the first thing. They come in and you've already figured out kind of what they want from a high level, and then you're going to get granular in the meeting. But you already have some photos of houses you've done in the past, maybe a floor plan or two that you've done in the past that match kind of what they're looking for.
Yep.
And then the rest of the meeting is just them maybe diving into the particulars, right?
Yeah, we kind of get into selections a little bit just to find out that what they're wanting matches, their budget or the price point of the house that we already have.
Mm-hmm.
If they're saying they want marble floors over the entire house and their
Sure.
budget's $400,000, then we're having a conversation of, hey, it's not going to work.
Yes. Well, we just had that circumstance where somebody came to us and was expecting a home at a price point that was not what they were describing in their mind, because they were comparing it to a house that was $2 million. Their budget was $1.3 million on a lot that was almost the exact same cost. So you're trying to make sure people understand why the same bones of a house can be so much more expensive with what goes inside of it, right?
Yeah.
You're comparing a normal home, which is a normal, nice quality home, to maybe a Homerama house. They're not always the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of front. So
I was just pricing a house the other day, and just doorknobs. Typically in a house we spend $1,500 on doorknobs.
Yeah.
I was pricing a house the other day. The doorknobs came back at $8,000.
Oh my God.
I mean, there's
Gold-plated doorknobs?
no, they're black.
Yeah.
But they're just
Really nice.
nice.
The ones in the center of the door, like they have over the White House, it's kind of like really nice. I'm just kidding. Well, it is the problem is like everybody is so different. Like there's certain things that I think. How many times have you heard this? It's like, I'm pretty simple. I don't need anything that special. Yeah. And the next thing you know, you get into it and they're like, oh my gosh, you are the exception, not the rule. But yeah. A lot of times
people have different things that they lean into,
Yes.
like what we were talking about earlier, somebody, if we have a lighting allowance that's already established, someone might spend that on one light. Other people might be like, I could spend half of that.
Yeah, exactly. They don't need anything special. And now, and that's again, let's lean in there for a second too, because that's an area where you can get creative and find good opportunities for ways to be cost effective on that. It's not just like, hey, go to Ferguson and pick out all your lighting. You guys could, you and Crystal. I mean, I think about this with the wallpaper she puts in there on times. The lighting for sure, the fixtures. You come up with items that are bang for your buck, really strong. And again, I'm going to get into pricing in a moment because I think that's one of your competitive advantages. But going back to the team for a moment is, so you have Crystal that's really helping stage the design process when it comes to like physically interior design selections, those sort of things. You're working on hard cost numbers, the pricing of the house, plans, lot, all those, which are the most important fundamentals of the house. Then Jed, who I can't speak highly enough of Jed. Like I tell you all the time, he actually did my parents' remodel. Ben and Jed did together. And my parents obviously were trying to figure out what to do. It's funny, my dad does this on a day-to-day basis on the land side, but the building's a different story as far as that goes. But you guys handled them as well as I've ever seen a remodel go. And I want to give Jed a shout out, but he's your project supervisor because it's kind of your right-hand guy, right?
Yep.
You're the leader of the company, the owner of the company as far as that goes. But Jed he knows as much as you and I, because he's been doing this for a long time. He's a sharp guy, but different skill set, right?
Yeah.
So anything else you want to add? Because he is fantastic. I just want to make sure we give him props.
No, I mean, we've just gotten great reviews from clients on, meetings. We got a client now building a house in Florida that's been there the entire time, and he FaceTimes them every Friday. I walk through the house just to give them an update. He does weekly sub updates with all of our subs, let them know every week what's coming up. 2 weeks out, and further, what houses are coming up. And then for every Friday, once you get transitioned to him, he does weekly updates with the homeowners as well.
Yeah. Well, I think communication is one of the best because you guys are quick to respond. You're always there to respond. I think that's like, you're not even small because you're bigger than most other builders that are out there, right? So I think people are like, well, hey, Fry, I haven't heard of you yet.
Yeah, we're in the top 25.
It's exactly it. That's why I want to give you credence where credence is due. Is like, you do a lot of business in and around here, and it might just be you, Crystal, and Jed, but you guys pack a big punch on that front. So I share with the audience is like, okay, hey, even though you haven't seen Fry, it's probably because you're just not looking in the areas that you're focused in. That's most likely it. And there's other brands that are out there that spend more on marketing and that have been around for 30, 40 years. But that doesn't mean that, longevity means that they're better, right? That means just that you do things differently. And once people have heard of you, I don't know a single client that you've gone through with us, at least, that wouldn't do another 1 or 2 or 3 builds with you on that kind of front. So I think that's important for people to understand, is that you're out there, you're doing a lot. You're probably in the areas you're doing it, which is Montgomery, Indian Hill, Madeira, Blue Ash, going out into Mason and Deerfield Township. And I know you do some in Anderson, in the city of Cincinnati. You probably do more than most. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah,
more than the average. There's always the bigger,
Yeah.
the bigger ones out there, right? That's always going to be the case. But that's not who you want to be either, right? How many homes do you want to build a year on a yearly basis? What's your goal?
Right now we do around 10. That's a good number. We just want to stay where we're at, we're not trying to grow. We're just trying to work with a certain number of good clients that we want to work with and build good quality houses.
Just improve. Yeah. Well, and I can be a testament to that, because you're doing that, and I probably don't want to drill on this because you'd be mad at me, but like, your timelines are really quick. I mean, like I think when you work with a client, the process moves a lot faster than most everybody else, which is really good. I don't want to say that's your competitive advantage because you have another piece of that, which we're going to dive into right now. But I will say, like, from a timeline, staging, a charting out of your homes, you're one of the best I've seen. And I know that's a combination of you and Jed. You can lean in there if you want to, because how long is the average house right now taking you?
The last house we just finished, and we had delays with weather. I mean, the weather was terrible. We had delays. Was 7 months from the time we started tearing the house down to the time they moved in. Because I looked back at pictures of when we were tearing the house down, and to when I sent them their warranty documents of moving in. I said, it's exactly 7 months to the day.
7 months. Whereas obviously everybody's normally quoting 12 months for builds. Yeah. Now, you can't promise that, and we
still quote 12 months in our contract, of course. But yeah, we always come in under that.
Yeah. But you can only handle so much, right? It's the client making the decisions fast enough. It's the weather cooperating. But I know that your average is probably around that 7 to 8 month time frame. You just go fast for a lot of that kind of stuff. Now, again, we won't make that, no false promises there.
Yeah. We're pouring a foundation right now, and I had it scheduled to start framing Monday, like this coming Monday.
Oh, really? Yeah.
But the rain's gonna mess that up.
So,
that's like
can't do anything.
That's like incredibly fast.
Yeah, that's too fast.
Yeah.
Not really, but it's just incredible how you do all that sort of thing. So let's dive into your real competitive advantage, which I think this is something you do different than everybody else, which is costing a house. And talk about your fundamentals, what's important to you when you're actually pricing out a house, and how you're keeping that cost to the most reasonable number it can be.
I'd say my costing came from beginning of flipping houses. When you're flipping a house, you got to try to fix this house up on your own with your own money for the most cost efficient way to do it. And you have to be very cost efficient with who you're hiring and how you're buying. And I think we've kind of related that into new construction. We have, I would argue, some of the best pricing of any custom builder, down to the sub level and to the material price level.
Sure.
It's just a constant. We're always making sure that we're paying the best, lowest price, but we're also getting the quality for it as well. We still hold our subs to a higher standard. That if we are paying that price, and the market's here, you still have to do,
your quality's not waning. Yeah, exactly. It's like that balance, right? Of high enough quality of materials, workmanship, but then also still the lowest price you can get.
Yeah. And I think we get that from being, they show up when we tell a sub a job's going to be ready, and they show up, it's ready. Yeah. They don't show up and it's like, oh, it's not ready. Oh, sorry, we forgot to tell you that it's, we're 2 weeks behind or something. And that's how we get that. Great communication. They show up, the job's ready, and everything's laid out for them. Yeah. Like, we had electricians the other day, and we were showing them, like, this is how we want you to do it. And he's like, oh, that's really smart. Now I don't have to come back for this other trip for this.
Yeah. So it's efficiency for them as well, right? Which they can do more deals and get paid, for more deals over the course of a shorter time frame, that's what they want to do. And you also pick up your phone. I know Jed does the same. Like, you guys are there to answer questions. You're on the job sites most days. Maybe not every single day, but a lot of days. You have cameras on all the job sites. You have an efficient just process that goes through the building side. So I think they appreciate that, right?
Yeah.
And then as it relates to materials, like, I mean, there's the subcontractors that obviously you're working with, framers and the drywallers, painters. We've talked about all of that kind of stuff. But when it comes to the selection materials, you're also trying to be creative to use quality new just materials, maybe places to order from to get that efficiency there, right, as well? Because I see you're always Googling and saying, hey, how about this? What about that kind of stuff?
Yeah, man, we've basically gone out there and sourced really good material. Just because somebody charges a really high dollar on something doesn't mean it's great.
Yes.
I want to say same thing with labor. Like, I saw a post the other day and someone's like, do builders always just pick the cheapest sub? And I said, well, just because you charge more doesn't mean you're any better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes it is. I mean, we don't, we're not, there are the lower price guys that aren't great.
Of course.
But then there's this guy and then this guy. And I have had the more expensive people and they're not great.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes
I'm like, or they do the same work. Yeah.
We've seen that a number of different times, right? And I think you test enough people out there too, and you know which ones you're going to stick with. It's ones that you maybe say, you know what, that was great, but maybe we're going to go a different direction based on that, the cost and whatever it is. We were talking about this before you came in here, and when it comes to the lowest cost, sometimes people think of production builders, like, okay, hey, you're getting the lowest cost materials because you're doing 500 homes a year. You still get the lowest cost in a lot of ways on good quality materials. Tell us how you get that done, because I know you're part of a buying group. There's other resources that you use and utilize to get down there, but at a higher level, quality-wise.
Yeah, so one part of that, like you said, we're in a buying group. So we're in a buying group with some other builders in Cincinnati, as well as some large production builders. And we all come together and basically get national pricing on some things, national contracts. But outside of that, I've taken that model and gone to our other vendors and done the same thing. Like, hey, I know I'm not a production builder, but you're going to twice as many houses of theirs to do the same work you come do for me.
Yeah.
And so we've been able to take that same buying group model, get great pricing in that for drywall, roofing, different things like that, and go out there and take that to other subcontractors, materials, whatnot. We've sourced really good cabinets. I mean, cabinets are a high dollar item for a house.
Yes.
And we have an Amish source that we can have build our cabinets at a phenomenal cost. I would argue lower than some other builders are probably even paying for stock cabinets. And then we have stock cabinets that we're paying a phenomenal price for.
Yeah.
That I'd say are lower than anybody else.
Yeah.
That they're awesome. That's what you end up putting in your parents' house.
Sure.
You were worried about it until you came and looked at them, and it was like,
yeah, it's as good as anything we've seen just off the shelf at a nice big manufacturer, distributor. Yeah. I think that's it. Is like you're finding the time to balance on the job sites, but then also kind of not renegotiate, but keep an eye out for better opportunities. And then you pass that on to your clients, right?
Yep.
Obviously, you're trying to make sure that they come to you for that. This is your competitive advantage, right? You're able to price a home not only quickly, but you're also able to do it at the most efficient number it can be, balancing that kind of that spectrum of, hey, high quality versus low quality, and then like how quickly it's done. Like you have to be it's a balancing act to make sure you don't get, what's the old, the triangle, what is it? Budget, timing, and price, right? So like you look at all of those things.
Good, fast, or cheap.
Good, fast, and cheap. That one right there.
You can pick two.
Same difference. Yeah, pick two. You can't have all three.
Yeah.
You're able to kind of find a way to balance all three, right? This is a much better articulation than I just did right there. But no, I think that's it, because they don't want to build a house if they don't have to. Most often, they want to be in a nice new home that fits their needs as quickly as possible. So if you have to build, you don't want to go through the uncertainty. You don't want to go through all of that extra that comes in. So if you can help get them a good price on a quick time frame and have it be a quality home, kind of is like checks off all their boxes, right?
Yeah.
I think that's why people are so happy with the product once you're all said and done. They see what you're delivering on that front.
Yeah, for sure.
So with that being the case, let's talk real quick just about some fun stuff. What's the most fun home you've ever built? What's the one that like sticks out in your mind that you're like, this was my favorite house that I built? We don't want to throw any of the other ones on the table, but just what's the coolest house you've done?
It's hard to say, because I mean, I got a client right now that's really exciting. He keeps sending me pictures of his house every day, and I'm like, yeah, it's just, I know it's exciting, but it's just, for me, it's just another house.
You see it, exactly. You see it all, yes.
But I mean, our Homerama house was super cool. In Loveland, it was a really modern house.
Chimney Ridge in what, 2021? What year was that?
I think
maybe
22.
22, yes, yeah.
Just getting ready to, coming out in June or July, Architectural Digest magazine. It'll be in there.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, we did a house in Montgomery with a sauna. We're doing another one right now with an elevator and an infrared sauna.
Yeah. You just have some pretty cool ones. They all have kind of elements you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the home around one was incredible. Obviously, that one, it was a testament to the client. Obviously the design was great. It sold quickly. I think that's always in a home around my house. You can do something really cool and special. But if it doesn't sell, then who says it's cool and special?
Sold
right?
it framing, yeah.
Yeah, you sold it quickly on that kind of front. And then it resold because they could only be there for a couple of years for well over what you had built it for and sold it to them, which is a pretty good story as far as that goes. But I think, are there any features that you just like to explore in homes? I think you like being creative. Would that be a fair way to put it? You like coming up with cool ideas or just kind of making things not just the way everybody else does them. You just always come up with different thoughts.
Yeah, cool ideas. I mean, we have a whole house vacuum in our house, which sounds so outdated. But when you have kids and like there's a crumb on the ground, you don't have to go like get your vacuum out and set it down and undo the cord and plug it in. Like you just pull it out of the wall and then it goes back in the wall.
That's true.
I mean,
yeah. Kind of nice.
That's nice.
Yeah. So stuff like that.
It's kind of like an oddity, But
yeah. Actually, I think I might need one of those with 3 kids.
Yeah.
What do you think, closing up for a second, because obviously I know you really well, and I know you've worked with a handful of clients that we represented. We've sold a lot of your product as well, and I know that everybody's been happy. And you're the person we go to when we have a client that knows kind of what they want, but maybe needs a little bit more guidance, wants it quick. You do such a great job there. Like I think any of us in our office would build with you in a heartbeat, right? On that kind of front, right? Heck, you did my parents' property. So I trust you implicitly on building homes. But if somebody was sitting here and they needed a piece of advice to say, okay, hey, is there anything, I know we started off with like, hey, what's the most important feature in a home when you're getting started off? Yeah. Is there any advice you'd give people as they're looking to maybe set out something that maybe as they come into your office the next time, you want them to know, or something that might be helpful for them getting on their way as they consider building?
I'd say be truthful when you come in and talk to a builder. I know it sounds funny, but we had a client once that came in and said he was fine with these cabinets, he was fine with this, he was fine with that. And then it got time to build and he's like, no, these cabinets aren't what I want. I want this. And he ended up spending 6 figures more, which he was fine with, but he just kept adding and adding and adding and adding.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if you would have told us all this up front, like we could have had this all in the price for you.
Yeah.
But I can't help it when you say you were good with this and you weren't, and you didn't want this and now you did. And
just know yourself kind of thing is like, don't just, I think sometimes people wanted to say it because they want to be the easy client. They want to be, they're like, oh, I'm not too hard. Then they maybe hadn't really thought about it themselves and say, okay, hey, you know what? I am pretty particular. It's okay to be particular about it.
It wasn't a problem. We had no problem changing it all, but it's just nicer and upfront. It's easier to schedule. It's easier to organize, but then you just have to pivot a little bit, which is fine. And we did. And that was great. But then also, I don't know if we talked about it before, just finding a builder you want to work with and working with them, making a relationship, not a transaction, and sitting down, because I was telling a client the other day, he wanted me to bid a house, and another builder bid a house. And I said, we just don't bid plans. Like it takes, 3-4 weeks to bid a set of plans. And I'm like, and at that point, it's just a transaction. It's not a relationship. If it's a relationship, I can sit down and I can show you all these different ways on your plans that we can maybe create efficiencies and save money.
Sure.
But if you're just going to take my ideas and then go get the other builder and
then it's just 3 to 4 weeks at a time. And I think that's important for people to know, is that it's not just the click of a button, like you hit send and it goes out to all these suppliers and all of a sudden just comes back and populates a spreadsheet, right? It's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Like you go through there, you're having to do, and not only that, you're going to have to decipher the spreadsheet, the plans, understand the nuances, where can you maybe make it a little bit more efficient. There's a lot that goes into it. So you're like a full-on consultant at that point before you even start building the house. Yeah,
especially if they went out and used an outside architect that we've never seen their plans. Yeah. You can look at them, you can miss things.
Yeah.
It's definitely better if you're working with, like I said, find a builder and work with them, work with their architect.
Sure.
And then just go from start to finish.
Yeah, I think trusting the process and trusting your team to like guide you through it. And if for some reason you're not the right fit for somebody, you're probably going to know that at day one, right? You're going to probably know like, hey, we've gotten out of meetings before where we sat down with a client that called on one of our listings and we were just like, hey, you know what? That might not be the one you want to go with. Yeah. Just they are looking for something different than what you offer. So I think go back to what you said, clients understanding themselves and then them understanding what your process is to make sure that matches is so dang important. Yeah. Well, where can people find you? Like, if they want to search out to you, obviously, they can cell phone, all that kind of stuff, but share your Instagram, all that kind of good stuff so people can find you, your website, all that kind of good stuff.
Our website's frybuilds.com, BUILDS. and Fry is Fry.
FRY.
But then we post a ton on Instagram.
Yes.
And our Instagram is Fry Builds as well.
Fry Builds.
Or I think if you just search Fry Homes, it comes up.
Sure. Yeah.
But we post a ton on Instagram. I mean, even live videos while we're building. So if you follow, I mean, you got to watch for our reels, or not our story, because we post stories that go away. So we post more than just pictures.
Well, and I'll leave it with you're very accessible. Like, I mean, if somebody were to send you a direct message on Instagram or comment on one of your posts, you're going to see that. Like, you're the one that's doing all of that sort of thing.
It's all me.
So I think that's what's really important is like you find sometimes you need to probably do less of it. And I feel like you sometimes I can send you a text at 9 o'clock at night. You're going to get back to me and answer by 9:05. But I think that's exactly it. Yeah. By then I'm already ticked off at you going to
Be 9:01.
9:01. It probably would be. It probably wouldn't even have a chance to hit send and you already have it back to me. But I think that's just it. It's like you're so accessible. So I'd say, hey, if you're listening to this and you're wondering is Ben the right fit for you, reach out directly to him, try him out, see how it is. Always, I mean, that's the way you can see how quickly your builder is going to get back to you. Is it how many levels do they have to go to get to you? Like, is there too many layers? Like, sometimes that's the case in a builder. So I appreciate you spending time, Ben. As always, thank you for doing this. Stay tuned for more homes. We have some fun homes that Ben's going to release here very soon. To watch this product if you're out there driving around Montgomery, see Blue Ash, Madeira, Indian Hill, any of those fun areas. Thanks for spending time with us.
Thanks.